Stop everything you're doing right now, because what I'm about to tell you will flip your entire understanding of manifestation upside down. For years, maybe even decades, you've been using your subconscious mind completely backwards. Every affirmation you've spoken, every visualization you've practiced, every prayer you've whispered into the universe has been programming the exact opposite of what you want. And the worst part, nobody told you. Not the gurus, not the books, not the courses. They all taught you the same backward method that keeps you stuck in the same place, wondering why nothing ever changes. Joseph Murphy discovered something that most manifestation teachers either don't know or won't tell you. Your subconscious mind is listening to every single word you say, but it doesn't hear language the way your conscious mind does. It's not analyzing grammar or understanding context. It's recording one thing and one thing only, the state you're claiming as your reality. And here's the problem. When you say, "I want money," what are you actually telling your subconscious? You're affirming the state of wanting. You're declaring that you exist in a reality where money is something you don't have, but desire. Your subconscious doesn't judge this. It doesn't argue. It simply accepts it as an order and goes to work making sure you continue wanting money. Think about this for a second. Every time you've said, "I need a better job," or "I want to be healthy," or "I wish I could find love," you've been programming lack. The word want means absence. The word need means you don't have it. The word wish means it's not real. Your subconscious is the most obedient servant you'll ever have. It takes your orders literally and manifests them perfectly. So when you tell it, "I want," it delivers more wanting. When you tell it, "I need," it creates more need. It's doing exactly what you're asking it to do. You've just been giving it the wrong instructions your entire life. Murphy spent years studying this mechanism, and what he found changed everything. The subconscious mind only knows two states, having or not having. There is no middle ground. There is no trying to have or working toward having. You either claim something as already yours, or you claim its absence. And here's where it gets really dangerous. Most people spend their entire lives in prayer mode, in wanting mode, in begging mode. They wake up every morning and immediately start affirming what they lack. "I want to be rich. I need to lose weight. I wish I was confident." Every single one of these statements is a declaration of poverty, sickness, and weakness. You're literally programming your subconscious to maintain these conditions. The manifestation industry has taught you to focus on your desires, to visualize what you want, to feel the longing for a better life. But Murphy saw through this trap. Desire is just another word for absence. When you feel desire, you feel the gap between where you are and where you want to be. And your subconscious registers that gap as your reality. It doesn't care about your dreams for the future. It only knows the state you're claiming right now in this present moment. So every time you sit down to visualize your dream life while feeling the ache of not having it, you're actually reinforcing the very lack you're trying to escape. This is why people can do affirmations for years and see no results. This is why vision boards gather dust while life stays exactly the same. This is why you can pray with all your heart and feel like nobody's listening. It's not that the subconscious isn't working. It's working perfectly. It's just working backwards from what you intended because you've been speaking to it in a language it doesn't understand. You've been affirming the problem while thinking you're requesting the solution. Murphy's fix starts here with this one brutal truth. Your subconscious doesn't respond to what you want in the future. It responds to what you claim is true right now. And for your entire life, you've been claiming lack, absence, and need. You've been praying backwards. You've been affirming the very thing you're trying to change. But here's where it gets worse. It's not just your words that are backward. It's the entire way you've been taught to feel about your desires, and that's what's really keeping you stuck. But here's where it gets worse. It's not just your words that are backward. It's the entire way you've been taught to feel about your desires. Now let's talk about the feeling trap, because this is where most people lose the game without even knowing they're playing it wrong. Murphy discovered something that destroys 90% of all manifestation attempts. He found that the emotion you feel while visualizing or affirming is more powerful than the words themselves. And here's the devastating part. The more desperately you want something, the more you guarantee you'll never get it. Every ounce of desperation is a declaration to your subconscious that you don't have what you want. It's lack wrapped in emotion, and your subconscious absorbs it like a sponge. Think about how you've been taught to manifest. You sit down, you close your eyes, you visualize your dream life. Maybe it's a house, maybe it's money in your bank account, maybe it's the relationship you've been craving. And while you're visualizing, what are you actually feeling? Be honest with yourself. You're feeling the absence of it. You're feeling how much you want it. You're feeling the gap between your current reality and your desired reality. That feeling, that ache, that longing, that's what your subconscious is recording. Not the image of the house, not the vision of the money, the feeling of not having it. Murphy called this the feeling trap, because it tricks you into thinking you're doing the work when you're actually deepening the problem. The manifestation industry tells you to get emotional about your desires. They say feel it deeply, want it badly, burn with desire for it. But this is exactly backwards. Every time you feel desperate for something, you're affirming its absence. Every time you feel that burning desire, you're telling your subconscious, this is not mine, this is missing from my life. I'm incomplete without this. And your subconscious, being the perfect servant it is, says understood, and continues creating circumstances that match that feeling of incompleteness. Here's the paradox that Murphy understood, but most teachers miss. The very intensity of your desire is proof that you're operating from lack. If you truly had something, you wouldn't want it. You wouldn't need it. You wouldn't think about it with that desperate energy. You'd simply have it, and the feeling would be completely different. This is why rich people don't sit around desperately wanting money. This is why healthy people don't obsess over health. This is why people in happy relationships aren't anxiously trying to manifest love. They already have it, so the feeling is one of satisfaction, not hunger. Murphy's key insight was this: your subconscious mind responds to the feeling of the wish fulfilled, not the feeling of wishing. There's a universe of difference between these two states. When you're wishing, you're in lack. When you're fulfilled, you're in abundance. And your subconscious can only create from the state you're broadcasting. If you're broadcasting lack through desperate wanting, you get more lack. If you're broadcasting fulfillment through the feeling of already having, you get more fulfillment. It's not magic, it's mechanics. It's how the subconscious operates. This is what Murphy meant by living in the end versus living in the lack. Living in the lack means you're trying to manifest from a place of emptiness. You're pushing towards something you don't have. You're fighting against your current reality. Every action comes from, I need to change this because it's not enough. Living in the end means you've mentally claimed the thing as already done. You're not trying to get it. You already have it in consciousness. The feeling is completely different. One feels like struggling. The other feels like resting. Most people approach manifestation like they're begging at the door of the universe. They're on their knees, hands outstretched, pleading for scraps. And the universe, or more accurately, their subconscious mind, responds by keeping them in that exact position. Begging, wanting, needing. The fix isn't to beg harder or want more intensely. The fix is to stop begging entirely and start claiming. Stop operating from the feeling of I don't have this, and start operating from the feeling of this is already mine. But here's where it sounds impossible. Murphy says you need to feel grateful for what you don't have yet, and when most people hear this, they think it's insane. But there's a scientific reason this rewires everything, and that's what we need to talk about next. So if desperation destroys manifestation, what does Murphy say you should feel instead? This next part sounds impossible, but it's the secret that changed everything. Here's where Murphy's method sounds absolutely insane to most people. He says you need to be grateful for what you don't have yet. You need to thank your subconscious mind before you see any results, before the money shows up, before the health improves, before the relationship manifests. You thank it as if it's already done. And when people first hear this, they think it's delusional. They think it's pretending. They think it's lying to yourself. But Murphy understood something about the subconscious mind that modern neuroscience is only now confirming. Your subconscious cannot tell the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. Let me say that again, because this is the foundation of everything. Your subconscious mind does not know the difference between something you're experiencing right now and something you're experiencing in your imagination with emotional intensity. When you vividly imagine something and feel it as real, your brain fires the same neural pathways as if it were actually happening. This isn't philosophy. This isn't theory. This is measurable brain activity. When you imagine biting into a lemon, your mouth waters. When you imagine a scary scenario, your heart rate increases. Your body responds to imagination as if it's reality. And your subconscious mind, which controls your body, operates the exact same way. So when Murphy tells you to be grateful for what hasn't manifested yet, he's not asking you to fake it or pretend or lie. He's asking you to impress upon your subconscious mind the state of already having. Gratitude is the feeling of receiving. It's the emotion of possession. When you say thank you for something, you're acknowledging that it's yours. You don't thank someone for something you might get in the future. You thank them for something you've received. This is why gratitude is the most powerful tool for impressing the subconscious. It's the emotional signature of fulfillment. Now contrast this with how you've been operating. You've been begging, pleading, asking, hoping. Every one of these states carries the emotional signature of lack. When you beg, you're acknowledging you don't have. When you plead, you're admitting powerlessness. When you ask, you're confirming absence. When you hope, you're expressing uncertainty. But when you thank, you're declaring possession. You're claiming it as done. You're operating from the end result, not from the desperate beginning. This is the shift Murphy is asking you to make, and it's not a small one. It's a complete reversal of everything you've been taught. The reason this works goes deeper than just feeling good. Gratitude activates the same neural pathways in your brain as actually receiving something. When you feel genuine gratitude for something, your brain releases dopamine and serotonin. These are the exact same chemicals that flood your system when you actually get what you want. Your brain doesn't wait to see if the thing is real or imagined. It responds to the emotion. And when you consistently generate the emotion of gratitude for something, you're literally training your brain to exist in the state of having it. You're creating new neural patterns that match the reality you're claiming. This is why Murphy emphasizes the feeling over the words. You can say thank you 1,000 times, but if you don't feel it, nothing happens. The subconscious responds to emotion, not language. It responds to states, not statements. When you feel grateful, genuinely grateful, as if you've just received exactly what you wanted, that feeling impresses itself onto your subconscious mind like a stamp in wet clay. And once it's impressed, your subconscious goes to work, aligning your outer reality with that inner state. It starts filtering information differently. It starts noticing opportunities you would have missed. It starts guiding you toward actions and people and circumstances that match the state of having. Murphy's prescription is simple but radical. Before you sleep, instead of listing what you want or need, you thank your subconscious for what you're claiming as already done. You don't say, I want money. You say, thank you for financial abundance. You don't say, I need health. You say, thank you for perfect health. You don't say, I wish for love. You say, thank you for my beautiful relationship, and you feel it. You generate the actual emotion of gratitude as if it's already manifested. This isn't positive thinking. This isn't affirmations. This is impressing a specific state onto your subconscious mind, using the most powerful emotional tool available to you. But here's where most people sabotage everything Murphy just taught them. They do the gratitude. They feel the fulfillment. They impress the subconscious. And then they immediately start checking for results. They wake up the next morning and look around to see if anything changed. They check their bank account. They check their body, they check their phone, and every time they check, they're doing something that Murphy warned against more than anything else. They're planting seeds of doubt, and doubt is the poison that kills everything. That's what we need to fix next. But gratitude alone isn't enough. Murphy warns that most people make one critical timing error that sabotages everything. This is where Murphy saw most people destroy their own manifestations. You do everything right. You stop affirming lack. You start feeling grateful. You impress your subconscious with the wish fulfilled. And then you make the fatal mistake. You start checking for results. You wake up the next morning and immediately look for evidence that it's working. You check your bank account to see if money showed up. You step on the scale to see if you lost weight. You refresh your phone to see if they texted you. And every single time you check, every single time you look for proof, you're telling your subconscious one thing: I don't actually believe this is working. Murphy understood that checking is doubting in disguise. When you feel the need to verify something, you're operating from uncertainty. And uncertainty is just another form of lack. Think about things you truly possess. Do you wake up every morning and check to make sure your furniture is still there? Do you constantly verify that your name is still your name? No, because you know these things are true. You don't need proof. You don't need evidence. You have complete certainty about them, so you never think to check. But when you check for your manifestation, you're revealing that you don't actually believe it's done. You're still operating from the state of not having, just looking for it to appear. This is the impatience poison Murphy warned about. Impatience isn't just annoying. It's not just a character flaw to work on. It's active resistance against your own manifestation. Every moment you spend anxiously watching for results is a moment you're broadcasting doubt to your subconscious. And your subconscious responds to your current state, not your wishes. If your current state is doubt, even if you're trying to hide it under positive affirmations, your subconscious knows. It feels the frequency you're operating on, and it manifests from that frequency, not from the words you're saying. Murphy used the farmer analogy to explain this perfectly. When a farmer plants seeds, he doesn't dig them up every day to check if they're growing. He doesn't stand over the soil anxiously watching for sprouts. He plants the seed, covers it with soil, waters it, and then he goes about his business. He trusts the process. He knows that underneath the surface, in the darkness, something is happening. The seed is germinating. Roots are forming. Growth is occurring, but it's invisible. If he dug it up to check, he'd destroy the very thing he's trying to grow. Your manifestations work the same way. You plant the seed by impressing your subconscious. Then you have to leave it alone and let it work. This doesn't mean you do nothing. Murphy never taught passivity. But there's a massive difference between inspired action and desperate action. Inspired action comes from the state of already having. It feels natural, easy, like you're being guided. Desperate action comes from fear that it's not working. It feels forced, anxious, like you're pushing against a wall. When you check for results, when you monitor and measure and analyze, you're operating from desperation. You're acting from lack. And every action you take from lack creates more lack, no matter how much effort you put in. Murphy called this the mental sabbath. After you've impressed your subconscious with your desire, after you've felt it as fulfilled, after you've thanked it as done, you have to rest from it mentally. You have to stop thinking about it constantly. You have to stop checking for it. You have to stop wondering when it's going to show up. This mental rest isn't giving up. It's not lack of faith. It's actually the highest form of faith. It's saying to your subconscious, I've given you the instruction. I trust you completely to execute it. I don't need to supervise you. I don't need to verify you. I know you're working. This is the state that allows manifestation to occur. The checking behavior reveals something deeper. It reveals that you're still trying to manifest from your conscious mind. You're still trying to figure it out, control it, make it happen through willpower and effort. But Murphy's entire teaching is that manifestation doesn't happen through conscious effort. It happens through subconscious acceptance. Your job is to impress the subconscious and then get out of the way. Let it work. Let it reveal the path. Let it orchestrate the circumstances. The moment you start checking and monitoring, you've pulled your conscious mind back into control, and your conscious mind has no power to manifest anything. It can only interfere with what the subconscious is trying to do. This is why Murphy emphasizes detachment after impression. You impress deeply, feel it completely, thank it genuinely, and then you detach from the timeline. You detach from the how. You detach from watching for it. You live as if it's already done, which means you stop thinking about it as a future event. You don't think about future events that are already completed. You don't anxiously await things you already have. The very act of waiting proves you believe it's not here yet. And if you believe it's not here yet, your subconscious maintains that as your reality. But if you've stopped checking, stopped watching, stopped waiting, what do you do instead? Murphy says this is where most people's biggest enemy shows up, and it's not what you think. Your conscious mind thinks it's helping you manifest, but it's actually been sabotaging you the entire time. That's the final piece we need to fix, so you've stopped begging, started thanking, and released the timeline. But there's one final backward habit that Murphy says is the most dangerous of all. Here's the final piece that Murphy discovered, and it's the one that explains why intelligent, educated, analytical people often struggle the most with manifestation. Your conscious mind thinks it's helping you. It thinks it's being logical, practical, responsible. But Murphy revealed that your conscious mind is actually your worst enemy when it comes to impressing the subconscious. And the reason is simple. Your conscious mind's entire job is to question, analyze, doubt, and figure things out. That's what it does. That's what it's designed for. But those exact functions are poison to the subconscious process. When you impress your subconscious with a desire, your conscious mind immediately jumps in with questions. How is this going to happen? Where will the money come from? What steps do I need to take? Who do I need to contact? When will this manifest? These questions seem helpful. They seem like you're being practical and planning ahead. But every single one of these questions is rooted in doubt. They're all saying the same thing. I don't see how this is possible, so let me figure it out. And the moment you try to figure out how your manifestation will occur, you've killed it. Murphy taught that you cannot use conscious thinking to manifest. Conscious thinking operates in the realm of logic, reason, and known possibilities. It can only work with what already exists, what it can see, what it can understand. But manifestation happens in the realm of the subconscious, which operates beyond logic. The subconscious has access to information, connections, and possibilities that your conscious mind cannot perceive. When you try to figure out the how, you're limiting your manifestation to only the paths your conscious mind can imagine. And your conscious mind is tiny compared to the infinite intelligence of your subconscious. This is the backward approach that keeps most people stuck. They impress the subconscious with the end result, and then immediately their conscious mind takes over trying to make it happen. They start planning, strategizing, forcing, pushing. They're trying to consciously create what the subconscious is supposed to deliver. And in doing so, they block the very channels through which their manifestation would naturally arrive. Murphy said your job is to impress the end result on your subconscious and then follow the intuitive nudges that arise, not the logical plans, not the obvious steps. The intuitive feelings that guide you in directions that might not make sense to your conscious mind. The conscious mind wants proof before belief. It says, show me the money and then I'll believe I'm rich. Show me the relationship and then I'll believe I'm loved. Show me the success and then I'll believe I'm successful. But the subconscious works in reverse. It requires belief before manifestation. You must accept it as true in consciousness before it can appear in physical reality. This is why conscious thinking sabotages everything. It demands evidence first, which means it's operating from the state of not having, which means it's programming more not having into your subconscious. Murphy discovered that the time just before sleep is the most powerful moment for impressing the subconscious, because that's when your conscious mind finally shuts down. During the day, your conscious mind is running the show. It's analyzing, judging, questioning everything. But as you drift into sleep, the conscious mind loses its grip and the subconscious becomes receptive. This is why Murphy emphasized the sleepy state, what Neville Goddard later called say-ts. In that drowsy moment between waking and sleeping, your conscious defenses are down. Your analytical mind isn't there to argue or doubt or question. You can impress your subconscious with pure feeling, pure state, pure acceptance without interference. This is the complete Murphy fix, and it's simpler than you think. But it requires you to reverse everything you've been doing. First, stop affirming what you want. Stop using the language of lack, need, and desire. Those words program absence into your subconscious. Second, start feeling what you have. Claim the end result is already yours. Generate the emotion of possession, of fulfillment, of completion. Third, thank your subconscious as if it's done. Gratitude is the signature of receiving. When you thank genuinely, you're impressing the state of having onto your subconscious mind. Fourth, release it completely. Stop checking, stop monitoring, stop trying to figure out how it will happen. Let your conscious mind rest and let your subconscious work. Every night before you sleep, this is your practice. You don't ask for what you want. You don't visualize yourself trying to get it. You feel yourself already having it. You sink into the satisfaction of the wish fulfilled. You let that feeling fill your entire body. And you whisper thank you to your subconscious for making it real. Then you let it go and drift into sleep. That's it. That's the entire method. No complicated rituals. No lengthy affirmations. No vision boards or scripting or any of the other techniques that keep you operating from lack. Just the feeling of the wish fulfilled impressed onto your subconscious in that sacred moment before sleep, when your conscious mind can't interfere. For years, you've been programming lack because you were taught to focus on what you want, which means what you don't have. You've been generating desperate emotions because you were taught to desire intensely, which is just another word for lacking intensely. You've been checking for results because you were taught to look for evidence, which proves you don't believe it's done. And you've been trying to consciously figure out how it will happen, which limits your manifestation to your tiny human understanding instead of infinite subconscious intelligence. Murphy's fix reverses all of it. Claim it as done. Feel it as real. Thank it as received. Then let your subconscious reveal the path. Starting tonight, try this once. Just once. Feel it done. Thank it is done. Then watch what shows up in the next 48 hours. Your subconscious has been waiting your entire life for you to finally speak its language. Now you know how.